Here is a bitter joke for you, the kind that good men learn on their deathbeds. What is the difference between a man who is deserving of love and a man who is desired? The first man is a beautiful, tragic, and utterly fictional character. The second man is the one who understands the rules of the game. You have been raised on a diet of lies, a sweet and nourishing poison cooked up by poets and priests. You have been told that desire is a reward, that if you are a good man, if you are kind and loyal and honorable and patient, you will earn her heart. You believe that love is a transaction of merit, a celestial accounting where your good deeds are tallied and the prize is her affection. You are the deserving fool, the man who dies of thirst in the desert, clutching a certificate of his own moral purity, watching as the scoundrel drinks his fill from the oasis. Machiavelli, that great and terrible physician of our illusions, would have looked upon your noble efforts with a kind of clinical pity. He understood that the world of men is not a meritocracy, it is an arena. And in this arena, outcomes are determined not by virtue of the soul, but by the skillful application of power. Desire is not an exception. It is the purest and most brutal expression of this law. It is an amoral force of nature, a beautiful and terrifying fever that is not earned by the healthy, but engineered by the one who understands the nature of the infection. Imagine two craftsmen in a city square. The first is a stonemason. He is a good man. He works for years to create a single, perfect, flawless cube of granite. It is a masterpiece of integrity, of honesty, of hard labor. He presents it to the world, believing its inherent virtue will be recognized. The second craftsman is not a good man. He is an artist. He takes a twisted piece of driftwood and a shard of broken glass and, in a single night of feverish work, creates a strange, unsettling, and utterly fascinating sculpture of a fallen angel. The crowd, the duchess, the entire world walks past the perfect boring cube of the good man without a second glance. They are mesmerized by the grotesque, compelling beauty of the fallen angel. They do not care that it is made of trash. They do not care about the virtue of the artist. They only care about the story it tells, the feeling it evokes. You have spent your life trying to be the stonemason. You have been perfecting the cube of your own good character, believing that its solid, dependable nature is what is desired. You do not understand that desire is not drawn to the dependable, it is drawn to the fascinating. It is not an admirer of virtue, it is a moth to the most interesting flame. In the forgotten lore of the alchemists, it was said that the formula for gold was not just about the right ingredients, but about the right process. You could have the purest lead in the world, but if you simply heated it with a gentle, steady flame, the flame of your decency, your patience, it would remain lead forever. The true alchemist, the one who could achieve transmutation, knew that the process required violence, paradox, a mixture of fire and ice, a chemical wedding of opposites. He did not earn the gold through his goodness. He engineered it through his mastery of a dark and forbidden art. To engineer desire is to become that alchemist. It is to abandon the naive belief that your goodness is your primary asset. It is to begin the cold, clear-eyed, and strategic work of becoming the most compelling, most mysterious, and most powerful force in her reality. It is not about being good, it is about becoming art. The faint, almost imperceptible hope in this cynical truth is that it frees you. It frees you from the exhausting, thankless, and ultimately futile task of being a good man in the hopes of a reward. Your goodness, your character, your integrity, you can now practice these things for their own sake, for the quiet satisfaction of your own soul, not as a currency with which you are trying to purchase another person's heart. You can finally separate your virtue from your strategy. So I ask you, you who have worked so hard to be deserving, look at the long and noble list of your virtues, your kindness, your loyalty, your patience. They are beautiful. They are admirable. Now, look at the results. How has that strategy of merit been working for you? And what beautiful, grotesque, and far more compelling sculpture could you build if you were to finally abandon the illusion that the world is fair? A completed man is a monument to be admired. An unfinished man is an obsession to be solved. Imagine you are standing in a room. It is perfectly furnished, perfectly lit. Every object is in its place. It is beautiful, it is complete, and it is profoundly, unutterably boring. Your mind registers it, appreciates it, and moves on. Now, imagine you are in the same room, but one wall is dominated by a vast, dark, locked door. The door is ancient, carved from a wood you do not recognize, and there is no keyhole. Suddenly, the room is no longer boring. The perfect furniture, the pleasant light, it all becomes irrelevant. Your entire being, your every thought, is now consumed by a single, maddening question. What is behind that door? The man who tries to earn love believes he must present himself as the perfect finished room. The man who engineers desire understands that he must become the locked door. This is the second and most vital principle in Machiavelli's hidden code. Desire is not born from satisfaction, but from a carefully engineered lack. It is a wild, hungry, and obsessive vine that grows only in the empty spaces you create in a woman's mind. To be everything she needs, to be constantly present, to be an open book with no secrets. This is to be the finished room. It is to be a source of comfort and the death of all desire. You do not engineer desire by giving more. You engineer it by creating a strategic and tantalizing void. This void is the mystery of your true motives. It is the unfinished cathedral of your life's purpose, a grand structure she can see you building, but whose final magnificent design she is not fully privy to. It is the part of your soul that remains unconquered, unmapped, and exclusively your own. It is the locked door. Machiavelli, a master of creating uncertainty in the minds of his rivals, knew that a prince who is predictable is a prince who is vulnerable. He must cultivate an aura of inscrutability. His actions should always contain an element of the unexpected. This forces others into a state of constant low-grade obsession, always trying to guess his next move, always trying to decipher his true intentions. He doesn't control them through force. He controls them by occupying the most valuable real estate in the world, their thoughts. There is a dark, romantic legend from the city of Granada about a master luthier who was said to craft lutes with the voice of fallen angels. Noble women and queens would travel across kingdoms to commission an instrument from him. But he had one strange condition. He would build the most perfect, beautiful lute they had ever seen, inlaid with mother of pearl and silver, but he would always leave one string missing. The client would be furious. "The masterpiece is flawed," they would cry. "No," the luthier would reply with a quiet smile. "Now it is perfect." And he was right. The women who owned these lutes became obsessed. They would spend their nights not playing the beautiful notes that were there, but imagining the impossible, perfect sound of the one note that was missing. The luthier was not selling an instrument. He was selling a perfect, unresolvable, and eternal longing. You must become that unfinished song. Your life, your purpose, your very being must be a magnificent composition that is beautiful in its own right, but is made haunting and obsessive by the clear, undeniable sense that there is a secret chord, a final resolving note that you are holding in reserve. The modern world, with its therapeutic obsession with closure and total honesty, is actively hostile to this profound art. It encourages you to be the completed song, to resolve every tension, to explain every mystery. It is a philosophy for creating comfortable, stable, and deeply unerotic partnerships. The Schopenhauerian truth is that the human will is a state of perpetual, striving lack. To be alive is to desire, and to desire is to be incomplete. To eliminate the lack in a relationship is to put desire itself to sleep. The faint, stark hope in this is that it frees you from the exhausting, impossible task of having to be enough for her. Your imperfections, your secrets, your strange, solitary obsessions, these are not flaws to be fixed. They are the raw materials for the engineering of fascination. Your hidden world is not a barrier to intimacy. It is the very thing that makes intimacy a thrilling and uncertain quest, rather than a boring and predictable fact. So I ask you this. You who have worked so hard to be an open book. What if the one chapter you refuse to let her read is the only one she truly wants? What if the key to her heart is not in your hand, but in the beautiful, terrifying, and profound mystery of the door you have refused to open? A God who always answers is a servant. A king who is always present is a commoner with a crown. I have seen it in the courts of fallen kings and in the quiet desperation of men who have been relegated to the friend zone, that polite suburban purgatory for the desirable but undesired. The fatal error is always the same. They believe their presence is a gift, and so, in their eagerness to be loved, they give it away constantly, freely, with the thoughtless abundance of a summer rain. They do not understand the first and most brutal law of all economics, both material and spiritual. That which is abundant is, by definition, worthless. You cannot earn desire through the sheer volume of your own presence. You can only devalue yourself into oblivion. The third rule of Machiavelli's code, the one that separates the prince from the peasant, is that you must engineer desire by becoming a master of a calculated and profound scarcity. Your time, your attention, your very presence in a room, this is your kingdom's gold. The man who tries to earn love is a foolish king who throws open his treasury and invites the mob to take what they will, hoping their gratitude will make them loyal. He will be left with an empty vault and a populace that despises him for having nothing left to give. The wise prince, the Machiavellian engineer, understands that his gold is most powerful when it is kept locked away. Its value is not in its spending, but in the idea of its existence, in the rare and impactful moments he chooses to display it. Think of the sun and a great comet. The sun is a magnificent life-giving force. It is also a predictable utility. It is there, every day. We are dependent on it, but we are not fascinated by it. We take its presence for granted. The comet, however, is an event. It is a rare, terrifying, and breathtaking spectacle. It appears from the dark, burns with an unholy light, and vanishes again into the void. Men will write poems about the comet. They will build religions around its return. Its power is not in its size, but in its scarcity. The man who earns love is the reliable, boring, and ultimately invisible sun. The man who engineers desire is the comet. He is a magnificent and unpredictable event in her life, not a daily utility. In the decadent, masked world of Venetian folklore, they told stories of a phantom lover known only as l'ombra, the shadow. He would appear only during the 10 days of carnival. He was witty, he was dangerous, he was the perfect lover. The most powerful women in the city became obsessed with him. They would offer him fortunes, titles, a permanent place in their lives. He would always refuse, vanishing with the last chime of the festival bells, leaving behind only a single black rose and a year of desperate, obsessive anticipation. His absolute power over them was forged in the long, cold months of his absolute absence. Had he accepted their offers, had he become a permanent resident of their palaces, he would have become a kept man, a pet. By remaining a ghost, he remained a god. You must become that ghost in the machine of her life. This is not achieved by playing games. That is the pathetic mimicry of a man who has no underlying value. This is the natural and authentic result of a man who has a mission so consuming, a world so rich that his absence from her is a necessary and unavoidable consequence of his presence in his own life. You are not pretending to be scarce. You are scarce because you are busy forging a kingdom, and the work of a king is solitary and demanding. The modern world, with its digital leashes and its expectation of instantaneous communication, is a machine designed to destroy all scarcity. It wants you to be the ever-present sun, always available, always shining your validating light on her. This is the path to being taken for granted. To engineer desire, you must be the man who leaves her on read, not as a tactic, but because you are in the middle of a thought so compelling that you have forgotten your phone exists. You must be the man who disappears for a week, not to punish her, but because you were wrestling with a demon in your own soul, or building something magnificent in the silence of your own workshop. The quiet, secret hope in this is that it is a path to your own liberation. In creating a famine of your presence for her, You will discover the feast of your own solitude. You will reclaim the vast, beautiful, and productive territories of your own inner world. You will remember who you were before you made her the center of your map. So I ask you, with the cold, appraising eye of a master merchant, your presence, your attention, your time, are you flooding the market with it? Are you giving away your gold for free? Or have you learned the divine and terrible art of making them starve for it, just a little? Desire is not a feeling that blooms in a vacuum. It is a vine that climbs the sturdy, silent walls of your competence. They chase the phantom of chemistry, the fleeting spark of mutual attraction, believing desire is some mystical force that strikes without reason or cause. They are fools chasing butterflies while ignoring the garden that could attract 1,000. The fourth principle of Machiavelli's code is that desire is engineered through the undeniable evidence of your own power and mastery. It is not about what you say you can do. It is about the quiet, compelling spectacle of what you are demonstrably capable of achieving. You do not engineer lasting desire with charm or wit alone. These are fleeting amusements, the jester's tricks. True desire, the kind that roots itself deep and grows into obsession, is a response to something far more profound: admiration. And admiration is not earned through displays of need or affection. It is built, stone by silent stone, through the visible architecture of your own competence. Machiavelli, in guiding his prince, stressed the importance of acquiring a reputation for excellence in all things, especially in the arts of war and governance. The prince who is seen to be competent, decisive, and effective commands respect, and it is from this bedrock of respect that loyalty and even affection can grow. He does not need to beg for the admiration of his people. He earns it through the tangible results of his leadership. You must apply this same principle to the engineering of desire. Stop trying to impress her with your words, your promises, your fleeting acts of service. Instead, focus relentlessly on the quiet, disciplined pursuit of your own mastery. Become a craftsman so skilled in your chosen field that your work speaks for itself. Become a force in the world, not through empty boasts, but through the undeniable weight of your achievements. Think of a virtuoso musician. He does not stand on stage and plead for your admiration. He simply lifts his instrument and plays. The complexity of his skill, the beauty of the music he creates, evokes a feeling in you that words cannot capture. It is a sense of awe, a recognition of a power that transcends the ordinary. Desire, in its purest form, is the echo of that awe directed towards another human being. In the ancient guilds of Europe, a young apprentice did not earn the respect or the hand in marriage of the master's daughter by proclaiming his love or his worthiness. He spent years in silent dedication, honing his craft, his progress measured not in flowery declarations, but in the increasingly complex and beautiful objects he created. He earned admiration through the tangible evidence of his skill. His competence was his courtship. His mastery was his marriage proposal. You must become that apprentice, dedicated to the relentless improvement of your own craft, whatever that craft may be. Your focus must be on becoming so good at what you do that your excellence becomes undeniable. This requires solitude. It requires sacrifice. It requires a turning away from the immediate gratification of seeking approval and towards the deeper, more lasting satisfaction of genuine accomplishment. The modern world, with its emphasis on constant self-promotion and the superficiality of online validation, often confuses attention with admiration. But attention is fleeting and cheap. Admiration is earned through substance. It is the quiet recognition of genuine skill, of a man who has dedicated himself to something larger than himself. The subtle, potent hope in this is that it shifts the focus back to where it belongs, on your own development. You stop chasing an external validation that is always conditional and fleeting, and you begin building an internal fortress of competence that is self-sustaining. Your worth is no longer dependent on her gaze. It is inherent in the skill you have forged, the impact you have made on the world. So I ask you, you who spend so much time trying to impress, what are the silent walls of your own competence? What tangible evidence do you offer the world, and to her, of your mastery? Are you a man of words, or a man whose actions speak with the undeniable weight of a hammer striking steel? The master no longer engineers desire, he has become the engine itself. And so you have come to the end of the grimoire. You have unlearned the lie of the earned heart. You have practiced the architecture of the void, the gospel of scarcity, and the silent spectacle of your own power. You have the blueprints. You have the tools. You have become a skilled and perhaps even a cynical engineer of the human heart. And now, I will tell you the final secret, the one that lies on the other side of the work itself. The ultimate mastery is to forget the rules entirely. The entire project of engineering desire, with all its dark arts and cold calculations, is only a temporary and necessary stage. It is the scaffolding around the cathedral. It is the anatomical textbook for the master painter. It is the brutal, repetitive, and soul-crushing training of the warrior. You must learn the rules so completely. You must practice the techniques so relentlessly that they dissolve from your conscious mind and become an inseparable part of your very being. The artifice must become your new nature. The man who is still consciously trying to be mysterious, who is timing his absences, who is performing his competence, is still a student. He is still a technician. He is a clever man, but he is not yet a master. There is still a slight, almost imperceptible tremor of effort in his work. The final stage, the one that few men ever reach, is to become the artless artist. Think of a master calligrapher. In his youth, he spends 30 years practicing a single brushstroke. He learns the precise pressure, the exact amount of ink, the speed of his hand. His every move is a conscious, disciplined, and agonizing effort. He is an engineer of lines. But one day, after a lifetime of this brutal discipline, he achieves a new state. He picks up the brush, and he no longer thinks. His hand moves, and the character appears, a thing of perfect living and effortless beauty. The 30 years of artifice has been transmuted into a single, sublime moment of art. He is no longer applying the rules, he is the rules. This is the final destination. The calculated mystery you once practiced becomes a genuine state of deep, quiet self-possession. The strategic scarcity of your presence is no longer a tactic. It is the natural rhythm of a man whose life is so rich and so compelling that he is genuinely and unapologetically unavailable. The spectacle of your power is no longer a performance. It is the simple, unavoidable consequence of you living your life, of building your kingdom, of doing your great work. You do not have to try to be the comet anymore. You are the comet. In the lore of the ancient Taoist sages, they spoke of the concept of Wu Wei, effortless action. It is the state of a being whose actions are in such perfect alignment with the fundamental nature of reality that they require no struggle. The master does not fight the river. His movements are so attuned to the currents that the river itself carries him where he needs to go. The Machiavellian code is the raft you build to survive the river. The state of Wu Wei is to become the river itself. This is the ultimate transcendence of Machiavelli into something deeper, something that borders on the spiritual. The prince is always aware of the game, always calculating. The sage, the Übermensch, has become so complete in himself that his very existence is a law of nature. His desire is no longer something he engineers in others. It is a gravitational field that emanates from the sheer density of his own being. The strange, magnificent hope at the end of this long, dark road is the promise of a new kind of authenticity, not the weak, needy, performative authenticity of the man who spills his guts for validation, but the profound, quiet, and unshakable authenticity of the man who has done the hard, artificial work of forging a new and superior soul, and has now come to inhabit it as his true home. So, I leave you with this final, quiet question. You have learned the grim and necessary mechanics of the engine. You have studied every gear, every piston, every blueprint for the generation of power. The question is no longer, how does it work? The question is this: do you have the courage to spend the rest of your life in the cold, dark, and lonely workshop, practicing this dark art, until the day you awaken and realize that you are no longer the engineer. You are the engine.